A viewer named Marcus Holloway commented on our last investigation to tell us his 1996 Ford F-250 with the 7.3-liter Power Stroke just rolled past 480,000 miles. Original engine, original transmission, original fuel pump. He has changed the oil and replaced the glow plugs. That is it. Now compare that to the experience of a modern truck owner. You walk into a Ford dealership today and you spend $90,000 on an F-250 Lariat with a 12-inch touchscreen, a panoramic moonroof, and a 6.7-liter Power Stroke diesel. It looks like a spaceship. Statistically, that truck will be in a dealer service bay before 80,000 miles. And when it dies, the independent mechanic down the road will not fix it. He cannot. The factory locked him out. Why have we moved from million-mile diesels to a six-figure subscription on wheels? This investigation, we are going to expose the Bosch fuel pump scam, the emissions cage, the cab-off conspiracy, and the security gateway shakedown that turns your pickup truck into rolling e-waste. The first villain on our list is hiding inside your fuel system. For decades, diesel trucks used a high-pressure fuel pump called the Bosch CP3. It was a rotary pump. It spun in a steady circle, fully bathed in the fuel it was pumping, lubricated by the very diesel running through it. It was loud. It was simple. It was virtually indestructible. A CP3 on a 7.3-liter Power Stroke would run forever. But in 2011, Ford, General Motors, and later Stellantis decided to reinvent the wheel. To meet tightening emissions and fuel economy rules, they installed a new pump called the Bosch CP4 on the 6.7-liter Power Stroke, the 6.6-liter Duramax LML, and the 6.7-liter Cummins in the Ram 2500 and 3500. They claimed the CP4 was more efficient and produced cleaner combustion. But there was a fatal engineering flaw. The CP4 was designed in Germany for European diesel fuel, which is far more lubricious than the ultra-low sulfur diesel sold in America. When you run a CP4 on American fuel, the pump is starved of lubrication. Air bubbles form inside the pumping chamber. Metal grinds against metal. The pump destroys itself from the inside out. But it does not die quietly. When the CP4 fails, it sends a flood of metal shavings throughout the entire fuel system, through the injectors, into the rails, into the cylinders. It acts like a heart attack for the truck. You cannot just replace the pump, because the entire circulatory system of the engine is now contaminated with shrapnel. This is not a theory. In May 2025, a federal judge gave final approval to a class action settlement of $50 million against General Motors, covering CP4 failures in Duramax trucks from 2011 to 2016 across 7 states. The Ford CP4 lawsuit on the 6.7-liter Power Stroke is still active. The Ram CP4 lawsuit, filed in October 2021, alleges Stellantis and Cummins concealed the defect from 600,000 owners. The repair bill is between $8,000 and $20,000, and the fix is installing an identical defective pump. The truck is totaled. But even if your fuel pump survives, the EPA built a cage around your engine. The second reason your truck is dying is the maze of emissions equipment bolted to your exhaust. In 1996, a Power Stroke had an exhaust system you could service with hand tools on a Saturday. There was a turbo, a downpipe, a muffler, and a tailpipe. That was it. Then came the 2007 EPA heavy-duty diesel rule. Overnight, every diesel pickup sold in America had to add 4 new systems just to leave the factory. The exhaust gas recirculation valve, the diesel particulate filter, the selective catalytic reduction catalyst, the diesel exhaust fluid tank. 4 interlocking systems, all required, all wired to the same computer, all designed to fail one at a time. The EGR valve recirculates hot exhaust gas back into the intake. That gas carries soot. The soot cakes on the intake manifold and clogs the EGR cooler, which then cracks under thermal cycling. The DPF traps particulates in a ceramic honeycomb, which periodically dumps raw fuel into the exhaust to burn the soot out at 1,100 degrees. When that regen cycle fails, and it fails constantly on city-driven trucks, the filter clogs solid. The SCR system pumps urea, sold as DEF, into the exhaust to convert nitrogen oxides into nitrogen and water. A single bad sensor, a single contaminated tank, and the truck derates. Limp mode, 5 miles per hour. You will not exceed the speed of a brisk walk on the way to the dealership. A DPF replacement runs $2,000 to $8,000. An SCR repair runs more than $10,000. A single emissions-related failure with tow and downtime can hit $20,000. And this is the smoking gun. January 2024, Cummins agreed to pay $1.675 billion to the EPA and the California Air Resources Board. It is the largest civil penalty in the history of the Clean Air Act. The reason? Cummins installed software defeat devices on approximately 600,000 Ram 2,500 and Ram 3,500 trucks built between 2013 and 2023. The software lied to the EPA during testing and then dumped excess nitrogen oxides during normal driving. The court-ordered fix is a court-ordered software flash that makes the truck worse, and when something inside the engine finally breaks, they made sure you cannot reach it. The third engineering crime is architectural. They designed engines that are physically impossible to service without disassembling the truck. The textbook example is the Ford 6.0-liter Power Stroke, built from 2003 to 2007. The engine has a well-documented head gasket failure. The fix is well known: pull the heads, install upgraded ARP head studs, and replace the gaskets. On a 7.3-liter Power Stroke, this is a weekend job in a home shop. On a 6.0-liter, you cannot reach the head bolts. The engine is packed so tightly under the cab that the standard service procedure is to unbolt the truck cab from the frame and lift it off with a hoist. That requires from 22 to 30 hours of labor before a single bolt is loosened. A head stud job on a 6.0-liter Power Stroke runs $4,500 to $6,500 in parts and labor at a specialty diesel shop. A full engine replacement at a Ford dealer has been documented at $26,000. That is more than half the value of the truck. And the pattern continues. General Motors installed cylinder deactivation lifters on the 5.3-liter V8L84 and the 6.2-liter V8L87. The engines in vehicles from 2014 to 2021, including the Chevrolet Silverado, GMC Sierra, Tahoe, Yukon, Suburban, Escalade, and others. The lifters are lightweight. According to the active class action filed in December 2021 in the Eastern District of Michigan, they were installed in the wrong positions. When an AFM or a DFM lifter sticks, it bends a push rod. The push rod takes out the rocker. The valve drops and the engine is junk. General Motors has issued no recall. Owners pay out of pocket. A 6.2-liter L87 engine replacement at a dealer runs $9,000 to $12,000. The replacement engine has the same lifters in the same positions. This is not a theory. This is the subject of an active multi-vehicle class action lawsuit. But the most insulting engineering crime is what they did to the diagnostic port. Since 1996, every vehicle sold in America has been required by federal law to have an OBD2 diagnostic port. The idea was simple. Plug in a $40 scanner, read the trouble codes, clear the codes, diagnose the problem yourself. For nearly 2 decades, this is how independent mechanics, fleet operators, and DIY truck owners kept the cost of repair from spiraling out of control. Then, in 2017, Stellantis, the parent company of Ram, Dodge, Jeep, and Chrysler, installed the security gateway module on the trucks rolling out of its Warren and Sterling Heights plants. By the 2020 model year, nearly 100% of FCA vehicles had it. The security gateway is a firewall. It sits between the OBD2 port and the rest of the truck. When your independent mechanic plugs in their scan tool, the gateway blocks them. They cannot clear a fault code. They cannot perform a bidirectional test. They cannot do a relearn after replacing a battery. They cannot calibrate a sensor. They cannot even read certain modules. To unlock the diagnostic port of your own truck, the mechanic must register with a third-party authentication service called AutoAuth and pay a $50 annual subscription per shop, per vehicle brand, just to do what was free and legally protected on a 2016 Ram. Stellantis claims this is for cybersecurity, but the firewall blocks read-only functions. Clearing a fault code from your dashboard does not let a hacker steal your truck. This is not cybersecurity. This is a paywall on a federally mandated diagnostic port, and it is spreading. Nissan and Infiniti added a security gateway in 2020. Mercedes-Benz added one in 2021. Volkswagen and Audi require purchased access tokens. Renault joined in 2022. Every major automaker is paywalling the port your local mechanic depends on. The fight is real. In November 2020, Massachusetts voters passed the Data Access Law by a 75% margin to force automakers to share vehicle data with owners and independent shops. The Alliance for Automotive Innovation sued the next month. Subaru responded by disabling its Starlink telematics system on all 2022 vehicles sold in Massachusetts rather than comply. A federal judge dismissed the automaker's lawsuit in February 2025. The industry appealed. This is not an accident. This is a design choice. And while they were locking the diagnostic port, the transmission was already failing under your right foot. And in 1985, the automatic transmission in a Ford F-150 was a C6, 3 speeds, cast iron case. A competent mechanic could rebuild it in a driveway for $500 in parts. That was simple enough to rebuild at home. In 2017, Ford and General Motors jointly engineered a transmission called the 10R80, 10 forward gears, a valve body the size of a sandwich, 18 electronic solenoids, 6 clutch packs controlled by software. Ford put it in the F-150, the Mustang, the Ranger, the Expedition, and the Lincoln Navigator. It started failing almost immediately. Owners reported harsh shifting, jerking between gears, sudden lunging from park to drive, and on the highway, the transmission suddenly downshifting from 10th to 4th with no input. Ford released its first technical service bulletin in March 2018 and has issued more than a dozen since. No recall. This is the subject of an active federal class action lawsuit, O'Connor versus Ford Motor Company, case number 119CV05045 in the Northern District of Illinois. In February 2026, Judge Jeffrey Cummings denied Ford's motion to dismiss the Massachusetts consumer protection claims. The case is alive. Documented owners report $9,000 out of pocket transmission rebuilds on F-150s with under 100,000 miles. And in 2025, Ford recalled tens of thousands of remanufactured 10R80s sold as warranty replacement parts. The replacement transmission is itself defective. This is not a manufacturing defect. This is a design choice. They engineered a transmission with so many parts that they cannot reliably build it twice in a row. Then they refused to recall it. Then they sold the recalled replacement as the fix. So what is the solution? If you can find one, buy a 7.3-liter Power Stroke from 1994 to 2003, or a 12-valve 5.9-liter Cummins from 1989 to 1998. These are the speed queens of the diesel world. They use mechanical injection, CP3 fuel pump, no diesel particulate filter, no diesel exhaust fluid, no security gateway. They will outlive you. If you are buying new, buy gas. A naturally aspirated V8 with port injection will outlast every 6.7-liter diesel on the lot. Avoid every truck on this list. Skip the 6.7-liter Power Stroke from 2011 onward. Skip the LML Duramax from 2011 to 2016. Skip the Ram with the Cummins in 2019 and 2020. Skip every Stellantis vehicle from 2018 onward. Skip the 2017 to 2020 F-150 with the 10R80 transmission. Skip any GM truck with active fuel management or dynamic fuel management lifters. Or do what the smart money is doing: keep your old truck. A 1997 F-250 with 300,000 miles is worth more than a 2024 F-250 will be in 5 years. It is built with a real engine, a real transmission, and a diagnostic port that nobody can lock. This is not an accident. This is a design choice. Stop buying their junk.